Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions. Today I bring back a friend of the show, Destaney Wishon. How you doing?
Doing well. Can't
E-
complain.
Excellent. So we've got you coming to Seller Sessions Live. You'll be speaking there on May 9th. We'll chat about that a bit later, but obviously with Seller Sessions, the focus is always content. So today you've been pulling up some data for us related to sponsored brands, doing some comparisons to product ads, product target ads. Is that right? What else?
Correct.
What
Yeah.
else have we got in the canon as well?
I've really just been diving into kind of all the new ad techniques. I pulled some data we have against the new retargeting ads that we're seeing in Seller Central, things like that.
Excellent. All right, so let's take it away. What do you want to kick off with first?
Awesome. I guess I'll just dive into what I'm seeing with sponsored brands. So surprisingly, in December, we saw a really high increase in sponsored brand sales.
Hmm.
Typically, when we look at the brand breakout, sponsored brands drives around 25% of what sponsored products usually does. Some of our brands hit upwards of 50% of their ad sales coming from sponsored brands. So I think that's super valuable because what we're seeing when we do a lot of audits with accounts or we hop in, there's not enough time in the day to manage everything with Amazon. So sponsor brands are one of the first things to just be left out because it takes a lot more creatives. You have to write copy, the targeting's a little bit different. So I think it's really valuable that it may be incremental, but really investing in all the new ad types, investing in the headline search ads, product targeting, some of the display things can really drive an exponential increase in your sales.
Cool. And so what other, if we're going to dip down into the data a little bit more, what else have you seen? So do you want to give us some example or breakdown? Because you mentioned about that controllability of ad copy and everything else. What are
Yeah,
you
for
seeing?
sure.
What are some of the markers that you're seeing?
So one of the things I always see and always recommend that if you have an AMS, which is now advertising console account, run your product display ads over there. Now they're considered like display product targeting ads, but
Mm,
same thing as a traditional PDA.
mm.
For one of our accounts alone, we saw that drive $211,000 in ad sales in December at a 14% ACOS, which was 2% lower than our overall ACOS.
Mm.
So having copy in those product display ads makes a huge difference. It's going to increase your conversion. Um, Touching on some other things. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I was going to say with the copy, is there any kind of guidance that you would give in terms of how you're writing copy? I mean, there's so many different ways. People have different styles, different products, and everything else. So, it's how long's a piece of string in some cases. But is there any like some kind of method that you put behind it in terms of at the agency when you're writing copy?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of things we can do to increase that conversion rate. One of them is like if you're targeting someone that's pretty much a direct competitor, look at your competitive advantage. Maybe yours is vegan, theirs is not. Maybe you have a certain color. Make sure you add those things to the copy. Don't just put your brand name, that's already going to show. Don't just put what your product is. They can tell that by the imagery. Really focus on the competitive advantage you have and keep it short and sweet. One thing I see is people put too long of a headline because they have that 50 character limit. And when you look at it mobile or if you look at it under a listing, it has the dot, dot, dot. So they
Mm,
can't even read all the copy you have.
yeah.
Another thing I always recommend is if you're running coupons, really, really push those PDAs because they show up in a completely different format under the buy box.
Mhm.
It does a little cute coupon cutout, which I think is amazing and really draws the eye. And it puts in bold orange letters, $2 off,
Yeah.
$3 off. So it's a really great way to drive additional traffic to that coupon as well
Yeah.
as increase the conversion rate for PDA.
Cool. And you found ways? Obviously, there's certain things you can't do in terms of putting dollar signs, sterling signs, etc., in the copy because it highlights in red whenever you try and type that stuff. Is there any workarounds that you use, like cheeky workarounds that get past the algorithm in terms of what you're putting in their content to say, look, hey, we put a coupon code in there without saying coupon code? Is there any markers that you use? That's question one. The second one, do you first write your copy for mobile first with the dot, dot, dot or the truncation in mind?
Yeah, great questions. The first thing I can say is start with your boldest statement, and if it gets rejected, try it again.
Mm,
So we do things like premium, we'll test holiday, and it really, we've seen a kind of an interesting differentiation when it comes to HSAs at least. If you launch something on Seller Central, it'll be rejected a little bit differently than what's on AMS. So there's things that we can get away with on certain platforms because it depends on just, I'm assuming there's a rep.
mm.
A robot probably flags it, scrapes it, but then, reps like, oh, that'll work. That doesn't work. Things like that. So get really creative. Test words like premium, test things like, most of the time best is going to get rejected, but play around with those synonyms. And really that's the biggest thing. And then when it comes to mobile versus desktop, I've seen desktops have the ... as well, just because it's a really small image. So I just keep it short and sweet regardless of what platform I'm on.
Yeah. Oh, cool. So basically you retain like a short headline anyway. You don't necessarily use up every character.
Yes, 100%.
Cool. All right, moving on. What else we got?
Yeah, so a few other things, video and search is going to perform fantastically. Make sure you're getting in. I have a lot of people kind of get caught up on what's the best video. Should I use something I'm running on Facebook? Should I use this? As long as it's within the guidelines, get it up now and then work on creating something that you can, launch later on. Whatever you have, use it. That way you can start collecting data. You can really start indexing for those keywords. There's not a lot of competition, so they're going to convert well anyways. I think last month we saw them like at a 20% ACOS, and that's targeting top of the funnel. That's not targeting keywords that we know 100% will convert. That's, if we're have something that has outdoor quality, just putting outdoor accessories, like super top of the funnel, and they're still doing really well. So everyone, use your video and search. Even if you're running it beta, target different keywords with it because there's no minimum. So that's something I've really been pushing. And then retargeting display ads. Those did fantastic in December because you think about it, you're leading up, everyone's clicking around, they're window shopping, retarget them off platform. Some of ours were at like a 16% ACOS last month, which is really good considering what we've seen on kind of the display and the off-platform targeting. CPMs now on Seller Central and certain accounts. I think that's going to be really, really cool.
Okay, so people who haven't got beta of that, walk me through it. What is this? What in relation to which ads formats? Yeah,
so now instead of just being pay-per-click based with your typical views and things, you can now do CPMs based off searches or purchases.
Yeah.
So purchases, it's a little tricky. If you have a $100 item people are only going to buy once, you probably don't want to retarget them with the same product. But if you really want to protect that market share and you have maybe a supplement or something that people are going to order, you might as well retarget them because it's probably going to be low cost to purchase, things like that, and you make sure that you kind of always stay in their brain. So those have been really good. Again, CPM based. If you do one ASIN, your reach probably is not going to be very fantastic. So I've been putting all my similar ASINs, similar variations, regardless of price point in there.
Yeah.
That's done really well. And now you have retargeting CPM with searches. So anyone who searches a relevant product, relevant keyword, you can target them. That's, of course, going to be a higher ACOS immediately. It's a brand new tool. Don't test it for a week and then get frustrated at 100% ACOS. Keep it running. Keep it at a low bid. Just collect data. I think that's the biggest thing. And I do want to note, when I say these things, if you're a small, beginning seller, you probably don't want to play around with all these tools. You need to work on the foundation and what you've heard works and what works. But if you're a big seller and you really want to drive incremental sales, invest in these ad types, invest in these techniques, and really spend money to get data.
Yeah, I was going to say, where do you start? Give us an average point for bidding when you're introducing like these new functionality and then these new ad types. Generally, the pool is smaller, people are not using them, so the average cost per click is lower as it goes into the auction. What price point should they start in terms of initial bids?
Yeah, if your focus is on scale and you have the money to test, I started at a $3 bid. I'll keep my budget lower though. $3 is mainly just to tell the algorithm, yes, like I want to show, I need to show, I want to get as much traffic as possible immediately. I'll keep the budget lower so we don't just hemorrhage $900 in a day.
Yeah.
So maybe a $10, $5 budget, $3 bid to really drive as much traction as possible. If I'm focused on profitability, but I still want to test new ad types, I'd probably keep it around, $1.30, $1.40, something like that, just so we still get impressions, but not spending crazy like
okay. So you're not seeing in like super low results from like 30 cents clicks, 40 cents click. You are above $1 on everything, even if you are going for targeted or you're casting your net wide. Then, yeah.
When I begin, I almost always start with a higher bid. Again, scale focused.
Yeah.
Just to try to get as much data as possible up front. Because, even if you have a lower bid, you're just going to take more time. You're still going to need to hit a certain threshold before you can really make a bid adjustment. Now, if I have enough data and I see that I'm getting a ton of clicks but not converting well, I'll start lowering my bid. I have no problem lowering it once I have the data. I just want to justify everything I do with, enough evidence to make an adjustment.
Cool. Is there anything else we got on the list to cover?
Those were honestly the biggest things I have. I've seen a lot of chat in the groups of, I tried this test, it didn't work out well, I'm never going to use it again. I've been talking with a lot of brands that are running audits that are very similar. Their sponsored products is in a really good place, but they haven't had time to play around.
Yeah.
Invest in your foundational stuff and then really start reaching out into those other areas. That's where you're going to drive incremental sales, and you can do it profitably if you have enough data.
Yeah.
That's kind of the biggest thing. I'll harp on that constantly.
No worries. And so what's the best way that people can reach you?
Yeah. So LinkedIn, Facebook, feel free to reach out to me, send me messages. I always like sending looms, answering questions, things like that. And then, of course, betterams.com. Yep. That's fantastic. Check it out. That's probably the easiest.
Excellent. Cool. And so we've got you coming down May 9th. So Seller Sessions Live is brought to you by Ferraccio. Just got our sponsors in there quickly. So you're coming in May 9th. We've still got to discuss of what content you're covering, but obviously it's going to be of nature of PPC. People who listen to the show will know that you're very much data driven. So we'll be looking at different techniques and some trends that are coming up near the time. So I'll probably go live with your content, like the description and stuff, probably about late February, April, just because I find that when we put content, because obviously the content's exclusive for Seller Sessions, and what you don't want to do is do the content now and then it's out of date 2 or 3 months time. So I'll announce that nearer the time. So is this going to be your first time in London, or you've been over before?
It is. It'll be my first time. I'm extremely excited.
Sounds good. Guys, thank you for joining us. We have some remaining tickets left. I think we're down to about 40 now. If you click in the link in the description below, and then you can grab tickets from there. Thank you again, and I'll see you again in the next few days. Take care.
Awesome.